Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alan Hunter, also known as Fly By Train, and today we're going to be talking about Anthony Davis's trade request. So earlier in the week, on Monday, we learned that Anthony Davis of the New Orleans Pelicans... Forgot to turn my phone off. Earlier in the week, we learned that Anthony Davis no longer wants to be a New Orleans Pelican. According to him and his agent, or whoever it might be, they also stated that the Los Angeles Lakers are their preferred destination. That is, up until about this morning, when he also said that the New York Knicks are a destination that he would actually be willing to sign a contract extension with. And that makes these things really interesting. Let's take a look at what Anthony Davis's options are and why the New Orleans Pelicans may or may not actually take those options. Cat. First, we'll start off with the most unlikely option in my opinion, and that's the Boston Celtics. And here's why this is the most unlikely option in my opinion. Because it all comes down to Kyrie Irving, who, up until this point, had seemed pretty confident that he was going to be re-signing with Boston. However, also yesterday, we learned that Kyrie Irving isn't exactly too keen on re-signing with the Boston Celtics, and he had some choice words for people who thought that he should. Also, another tidbit with Kyrie Irving that prevents the Boston Celtics from being included in this Anthony Davis deal is Kyrie Irving himself. He's on a max contract. The Supermax contract to be exact. And the problem with that is this rule called the Rose Rule. And for those of you who don't know the Rose Rule, I'm going to be completely honest, I'm not going to explain it very well. I think there are other videos out there that will explain it better than I will. The best thing about the Boston Celtics is that they probably have the best assets to offer the New Orleans Pelicans. You see, they have guys like Jaylen Brown, Terry Rozier, Marcus Smart, and other guys, other young players that the New Orleans Pelicans might be interested in. And remember, this is a team that made the Eastern Conference Finals with LeBron still in the Eastern Conference without Kyrie Irving. And not only that, but they took him to 7 games, which it is not easy to do when you're facing LeBron James. The Boston Celtics have also had one of the best draft capital for the past 3 years. Actually, the past 5 years, really. And so in terms of trade assets, the Boston Celtics are one of the best teams to trade with if you're trying to get younger and you're trying to get rid of a superstar, because that's exactly what the Boston Celtics are looking for. Here's the other problem with that, though. They have Kyrie Irving, who they're not sure is going to re-sign. So it really doesn't make a lot of sense for them to go and trade for another player who is not committed to a contract extension with the Boston Celtics. Why would you trade all of your draft capital for a player that might be there for only 1, maybe 1.5 more years? And that's why the Boston Celtics are third on my list. Second on my list is the team that Kyrie Irving might leave the Boston Celtics to go to, and that's the New York Knicks. As of yesterday, I had no idea that the New York Knicks were even a possibility for trading for Anthony Davis. You see, yesterday they traded away Kristaps Porzingis, and after that they completely fell off my radar for teams that might be interested in Anthony Davis. I just didn't think that they would have the players or the draft capital to be able to actually convince the New Orleans Pelicans to be able to part ways with Anthony Davis. However, as of this morning, Anthony Davis has said that the New York Knicks are a team that he's willing to sign a contract extension with, meaning that they might be a little more aggressive in terms of getting Anthony Davis. Meaning you could see a lot of young players such as Frank Ntilikina or Kevin Knox or maybe even Dennis Smith Jr., who they just received from the Dallas Mavericks, be going to the New Orleans Pelicans. Again, the biggest problem with this trade is I don't see a lot of assets that the Knicks have that the New Orleans Pelicans would be super interested in. Really, you have the first round picks, and at what point does Zion Williamson's potential outweigh Anthony Davis coming in with the potential of not having any other superstars around him? The other interesting part about the Knicks is Kyrie Irving, as I said before. Ever since he was still in Cleveland, the New York Knicks have been tossed around in the same breath as Kyrie Irving as a possible destination. Kyrie Irving wants to be that guy, and then he finally got to be that guy in Boston, and he found out that he really doesn't want to be that guy, it seems. Or at least, he struggled in that role. He needs another superstar with him, and the Knicks allow that. The other thing that New York allows is, well, New York. New York offers players a special type of marketing exposure that couldn't be attainable in any other city except for maybe LA. And because of that, Kyrie Irving has been thrown out in the same name as the New York Knicks for as long as he's been in Cleveland. Ever since his initial trade request, people have been wanting him to go to New York. And you know, I didn't really think it was going to be that realistic of an option until yesterday's comments about re-signing with the Boston Celtics. So that's what really makes the New York Knicks a very interesting team. they could potentially have Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving after one offseason. The problem is that are they going to be able to get enough depth around them, and are they going to be able to persuade Kyrie Irving to leave Boston and come to a New York team that has yet to make the playoffs since Carmelo Anthony was on the roster? Outside of New York, though, Anthony Davis had one clear team that he definitely wanted to go to. And I think if it's not your favorite for whoever Anthony Davis should go to, then you clearly are not watching NBA news. And that's the Los Angeles Lakers. And here's the really interesting part about this. The Los Angeles Lakers seem to be willing to trade away the farm for Anthony Davis. According to a report earlier, they had offered the New Orleans Pelicans Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, and Ivica Zubac, as well as a first-round pick, all for Anthony Davis. And if you haven't looked at the Los Angeles Lakers roster, that's like all of their young players except for Josh Hart, who actually get any minutes. But I guess when you have a team that has LeBron James really becomes the general manager. If LeBron James wants a player, that team will do whatever it takes to get that player, such as when he got Kevin Love back in Cleveland. And the nice thing about the Lakers for Anthony Davis is that Anthony Davis definitely wants to re-sign there. He's already said that he's willing to sign a contract extension in LA. However, I will say that there's always going to be that dark horse team. We saw it with Paul George. We saw it with Kawhi Leonard. We all expected them to go to certain teams, and we expected certain teams to make moves, and then teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Toronto Raptors just kind of blew out of nowhere, and we're like, all right, we're going to take this risk. It paid off greatly for Paul George, who then signed a contract extension with the Oklahoma City Thunder, proving that these one-year rentals might be a longer rental than they thought. Then there are other players like Kawhi Leonard, who we're still waiting to see the verdict on. He was traded to the Toronto Raptors, and they're having one of the best seasons in franchise history. However, we're unsure if Kawhi Leonard will still stay with the Toronto Raptors. There's still a very good chance that he decides to leave for Los Angeles, whether that be the Lakers or the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard was another player that was also mentioned in the same breath as the New York Knicks, so there's another interesting little aspect to it there. Seemingly, the New Orleans Pelicans haven't really been interested in talking on the phone that much. I think they're still trying to hold out for that perfect deal, and they're trying to see what they can do with Anthony Davis to maybe, just maybe, not trade him. Because if I'm the New Orleans Pelicans, that is literally the worst thing that can happen to my franchise at this point. When they do start picking up the phone, I expect them to be demanding a king's ransom, which is why teams like the New York Knicks are not exactly very high on my list of possibilities, because I don't think they can give up that king's ransom. They just don't have it. Regardless, though, I'm very excited to see what happens. The NBA trade deadline is on February 7, and if we don't get a trade then, we'll probably get one in the offseason, because that's when big players like the Boston Celtics are finally going to be able to make their deal for Anthony Davis. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know how I did, let me know what you'd like to see more of, and what I can improve on. If you like this video and like to see more, please hit the subscribe button below. It would mean a ton, and it would encourage me and keep me making more and more videos that you guys clearly want to see. And until then, see you later.